Like I said, I have Mr. Jonathan Hay, who's gonna perform. It's late for me. Gonna confirm everything we pretty much heard here today. And he was on Real Life with Miss Jaguar Wright, who provided him a very safe haven to even talk about the things that he's going to be talking about today. Go on down, go on down. All right, let me get on back over here too.
That I know in LA that they had taking her out and taking her to all the parties and clubs. They didn't find out that she was underage until they went to the Rainbow Room one night and she couldn't provide ID. They were told she was 21 when in all actuality she had just turned 17. You remember when she was in LA right after Upon the Replay broke? That was around the time where they were moving you out and putting her new handlers in.
Right.
Real life.
Jonathan, how are your spirits? How are you doing? How's everything going with you?
Everything's going good. Thank you. It's an honor to be here for sure.
Definitely. Thank you. I know we try to get you here actually in person. Of course, we ran into a couple of snags.
So, real quick, just to give Jonathan Hay once again a backstory, he was the gentleman, Kenny Hill, that was the manager for Rihanna in the book. Okay. And Jonathan Hay was pretty much a publicist back then, and publicist slash manager. Okay. That he was in charge of making sure Rihanna even got over here in the first place. He was also in charge of her in general. So pretty much they moved him out of the picture once, Jay-Z got her to Def Jam. And Mr. Jonathan Hay, pretty much, he was also working for a Bad Boy in the early days as well. So he has a lot of insight in the industry from both sides of Jay-Z and working with Jay-Z and Diddy, I should say.
And want to make sure you're okay, but also we still want to be able to have a conversation with you, man. How are you doing? How are your spirits? Is everything, like you just said, everything's on okay? Are you
Everything's
good?
good. Everything is good. Thank you.
All right, definitely, man. For those who may not know,
the echo once again is not me. That is on his goddamn audio. They do eventually fix it, so bear with it. So do bear with it.
Who you are, and the work you put into this business. If you don't mind, please reintroducing yourself. Let them know where you're from, and also you're just a little bit going into your history in this business.
Well, I was originally born in Florida. I was adopted, and my parents got me when I was 11 years old. And then I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, home of Muhammad Ali, home of Lamar Jackson, Jack Harlow, Louisville. And then as my career started while I was in college, I moved out to Los Angeles. And then I was just like everywhere, Atlanta, New York, and everything. But I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, definitely. Now, let me ask you this first and foremost. When you hear the words, the music business, what is the first thought that comes to your mind?
Corrupt. Corrupt.
Wow. To say corrupt, you must be pulling from something. What's the first image that pops in your brain when you say the words corrupt?
Jay-Z.
Ooh, that is the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Hay, what I want to do is, of course, for you to even be able to bring up the name Jay-Z, that means, of course, you must have affiliations in the world of what Jay-Z is. Can you at least let our audience know as far as possibly, and again, let's go down the rabbit hole here. What is your affiliations in regards to the world in the music business to Jay-Z, to Sean Carter?
So I go way back with him from the days of, I met Jay-Z through a mill, and the former Rockefeller artist who is on a lot of his earlier hits. So that's how I got in contact with Jay-Z. And through a mill, and this is like a few years after she had left Rockefeller. or, left the Rockefeller management, because she was signed to Columbia, I think, But that's how I got introduced to him, right? And then when I started to work and we would talk, on like, his T-Mobile two-way pager. I would hit him, and he'd hit me back about a mill, and the projects that I was doing at the time, and I would pitch him some stuff, yada 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 yada. But we had an open relationship. So when Rihanna came out with Pondy Replay, and I was pitching Pondy Replay to journalists, the first journalist that hit us back was this woman from MTV. Her name was Jennifer Vineyard, and she worked for MTV News. She told me, she was like, if you can get, Rihanna was completely unknown. She was like, if you can get a quote from Jay-Z, then we'll run the story. So I was like, I even told her, I was like, yeah, no problem. I like talked to this guy about everything. He had been the head of Def Jam. He had been the head of Def Jam for not too long, right? So I figured he would easily give us a quote. And, he completely snowballed. He snowballed me. He wouldn't give us a quote about Rihanna. He wouldn't do anything, for her in the beginning. So then I'd go back to Jennifer Vineyard and be like, I can't get a quote from Jay. Obviously, I didn't say that. I was like, he's just real busy coming into his, position at Def Jam, yada, yada, yada. And, she still ran the story for us anyways, and that's kind of how it all began with her, So when Jay-Z comes to mind, it's just like, like all the games throughout the years, there's just, we'll talk about it as the show goes on, but there's just been like a lot of, bullshit, and being around so many people in the industry who've experienced the same thing. It's just, and honestly, he needs to be in prison, but, and hopefully, with the stuff that, people like Jaguar Wright is speaking out about, stuff that I'm speaking out about, hopefully that can get some eyes on some kind of, prosecutor, someone who will look into them and, see if justice can be done.
Yeah, we've seen the same thing happen with R. Kelly, as far as just,
exactly.
You get the right person to look in the right direction, something may stick. So you, as is listed, if someone wants to Google your name, Jonathan Hay, they'll see, you're as an American publicist and record producer. You start off as a publicist or a producer, or
a publicist.
Okay. For those that don't know what a publicist is, because a lot of cats don't know, can you explain what a publicist's job is?
So the publicist's job has changed now a lot, and in 2024, with social media being so, prevalent, and artists are more in control, the newer artists and stuff. But publicists used to be the spokesperson, for the artists. They would issue the statements. They would, manage the press, crisis management situations, were key. And like everybody, to contact the artist, they would contact the publicist, and that was like our job. But my job, I wasn't like the guy that like did like the red carpet stuff. I wouldn't, because there's like those publicists too who do the red carpet, who coordinate with the red carpet coordinator, and they do all that kind of stuff. I was more of the strategy behind it. Like that's what I like, is to come up with the strategic, angles, and the marketing and publicity behind it. So that was like more my job. That's what I was hired to do, to be that person. So that's what I would consider myself, as more of a strategist. Now, some PR people, they like to, be all out there, like I said, and do the red carpet stuff. That's not really my thing. I'm more of a, stay in my own lane and just come up with strategy.
So one of your strategies was to say that Jay-Z was dating Rihanna at a point in time, right?
So one of the strategies that we all had, because Jay-Z wouldn't give us a quote, And because Jay-Z, and it was weird also because when I came into contact with one of the producers of Pond de Replay, he was like saying that there was a thing, between them. And he was telling me that, like off the record, I don't care about talking about this stuff now because I didn't talk about it for so long, and I got that reputation of being a guy who would put out the publicity stunt that Jay-Z was having an affair with Beyonce, and it was a love triangle, right? But that
So at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily a rumor he started. It was something that he actually had heard from someone that actually had witnessed what was actually going on. He had someone that actually witnessed what they had, the chemistry between Jay-Z and Rihanna. It wasn't just a rumor he was trying to do to just get Rihanna's career off the ground. It was something that he actually had heard from somebody actually witnessing that there was something going on between Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Rihanna. And Beyonce didn't necessarily know about it, or maybe she did.
why I'm coming out and talking about this stuff, because no, that's not really like how it was, right? But the week when Jay-Z wouldn't give us a quote, obviously everybody was mad. And so it was like, all right, well, we're gonna get his, attention anyways. Plus, like I said, that a lot of people were upset because it's like, okay, Jay-Z will mess around with Rihanna, he'll flirt with Rihanna, he'll be inappropriate with Rihanna, but he wouldn't give us a quote to help break the record. You know what I mean? So that's why it's kind of like, um, the strategy behind it was, let's come at Jay, and it was very aggressive, right? It was mean to take a shot, like I don't know if I can cuss on here, but fuck Jay Z, like lady, like because he was too busy chasing, Lady Sovereign at the time, and who was a British rapper who was trash in my opinion. It was like, come on, man, like this, you have Rihanna here, like this is your flagship artist. But like I said, it seemed like at first, like he didn't want us to um, be put on, be successful, right? It seemed like which was very strange because of how he interacted with her personally, which was shady. So it was just like, you know what I mean? It was like, all
Yeah.
right, fuck this guy, So
Can,
um,
can you
you know,
give us a history of Rihanna as far as her introduction into the music industry? We watch Tyler now being introduced from South Africa coming into the, a worldwide stage. What was Rihanna's introduction to the music industry? At what point did you get a hold of her to get her to Jay-Z's ears?
so I like she was already on Jay-Z's ear when I came through. Right, I came through this. I hate to even say his name because he's a cocksucker, but he's the other producer. His name is Veda Nobles. And Veda Nobles was from New Jersey. And if you look up Veda Nobles, he's a co-producer on Pond de Replay. He was the one who sued Lauryn Hill for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And it was his production team, Newark, who sued her, which kind of led to, her shutting down. If you remember back in the music industry, like she was so busy doing the Fugees, and then she dropped Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is a timeless classic. And then everybody was like, oh, she's a head case. She started missing shows. Well, she was depressed because, Veda Nobles and his guys sued her for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill and saying they were the producers of it, not her. So when I met Veda Nobles, I was introduced to him through Kevin Skinner, who was working for John Huston Entertainment, Whitney Houston's father's company. When he introduced me to Veda Nobles was like going through it, because everybody loved Lauryn Hill. So then he has,
So if you think about it, Lauryn Hill didn't necessarily just vanish from the industry because of her kid. It was more so because, she was also being sued And that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy for her to be blackballed from the industry for even having Zion, let alone also now being sued by another record producer. Then so now you gain this reputation of this person that's just an asshole and late for shows and canceling shows and all that. Looking hindsight, Lauren Hill pretty much was just being Lauren Hill because she was blackballed so badly in the industry that she didn't even really care anymore. She didn't necessarily care for music, but because she's Lauren Hill and can eat off music and provide for her child, yeah, she'll do it every now and then.
He's the one who introduced me to Rihanna. He's the one who hired me to work Pondy Replay, write her first press release, and get it going and get some action, for the song. So that's how I got involved with that. And usually, like I said, I hate saying his name because, like I said, he's like he's a real cocksucker. Like, not only has he let me fall on the sword on like a lot of the shit, is because, like I said, what he did to Lauryn Hill for Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, the way he treated her by taking production credit, when that was all Lauryn Hill's album. She'd been working on that, since she was younger. That was her debut album, and this guy was trying to take credit for it. So that's how I met. That's how I met Rihanna.
Okay, Ada Noble. Sheesh. Okay. All right. Let me ask you. At what age was Rihanna coming into like Ponder Replay and of course
She was 16 when I first heard about her.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because we look at stars like Aaliyah, and Aaliyah has ties to Jay-Z in regards to her, coming of age story, and of course, the Rockefeller Nation. Rihanna, for you yourself, Jonathan, let me ask you, what was your goal for the Ponder Replay, pushing that record, getting Jay-Z to give a quote? What was the goal at the time of you pushing that?
Well, because I heard the song, right? Like, and I knew, like when you're in the industry, like this is something, this song has it. And you could just feel like that, was a hit record. Something about it, was special. And she was really shy and she was really, awkward, but she had this huge song, and that's what a lot of people liked about her, is because she wasn't that person who was like, like real in your face, like singing for you. She was the person who would, be sitting in a corner, quiet, off in her own head, thinking about stuff. She real soft spoken, real shy, real, but brilliant, like total brilliant, like, look what she's done now. She's a billionaire.
Is it common for someone like Jay-Z or someone to deal with her at 16 years old? Like, isn't that a little weird?
For sure, it's weird, without question. But from what I heard, he was doing that same stuff with, Foxy Brown.
So, as I confirmed with the Black Book of Jay-Z, or Iceberg Slim in that documentary, Jay-Z pretty much had a plethora and a track record of dealing with underage girls before they were actually even developed. Pretty much grooming, as Emil put earlier. Okay, so you have Rihanna, who was 16. Then you also had Foxy Brown, who was 16, 17, well, actually 15, going on 16. And, then you have Beyonce, who's barely even 21, and he's damn near 40 years old. So there was like I said, huge track record of these girls. And I think it was Nas' baby mom, who was about 17, going on 18. It just became a long list, not long list, but it became quite a few. I say that just enough to where you're saying, okay, what is it going on with a 30-year-old man dating these 15 and 16-year-olds now?
Like I said, I was deep, involved, with some of his business stuff, and the stuff that I heard. Obviously, I wasn't there to witness it, but here's a guy that that is currently, right. He's currently, has 2 albums out with R. Kelly. He currently has all this work with Diddy. And before the pandemic, he was signed to Harvey Weinstein. So, like, when you think about Jay-Z, signed business partners with Harvey Weinstein, business partners with Diddy, business partners with R. Kelly. That's some fucked up shit, man. That just has to make you like think is like, how could this one man be business partners with these three men? Two who are in federal prison, and one who's going to be indicted at any moment. That's weird.
At the time of Ponder River, what age was Jay-Z?
I don't know. I think he would have been 12 years older than her. I could be wrong. We'd have to look.
All right, let's get to it. And we're going to go through more.
And just to bring into context what this gentleman is actually talking about here, he's talking about the production and movie deal that Jay-Z had done with Mr. Harvey Weinstein as well. So I want to say maybe about let me just look here. So when exactly was the Khalif Bowder documentary, right? That wasn't not too long ago. That was 2017. Okay. As you can see here, Harvey Weinstein and Jay-Z to lead Khalif Browder town hall on Spike. So what Jonathan Adi is pretty much pointing out is that Jay-Z pretty much even does business with these pedophiles from the likes of Diddy, Harvey Weinstein, and R. Kelly. You still have the albums up with R. Kelly. It's not like when Aaliyah died, he stopped doing business with R. Kelly. In fact, he came back with an album, Unfinished Business. How dare you make an album with R. Kelly afterwards that's called Unfinished Business? As if you knew already that you were going to still be doing business with a known pedophile. You knew exactly what he was doing with Aaliyah because you were fucking Aaliyah right along with him.
Your history, but right. We're on this topic. I got to get your take because, again, when I ask you about the music business and, you give the words you give, we look at the head honchos and, Puff Daddy, Diddy, P. Diddy, of course, is going through his turmoil right now. And these are all like doors that he wanted to shut years ago. This is a lot of stuff happened some decades ago, years ago. And how much of this do you feel fall under the other heads, whether it's Jay-Z, the Dr. Dre's, the just the other guys who are the heads of the music business? Again, we're talking to you and you've been hands-on in this business, not only on the hip hop side, but the other sides as well, as far as the hip hop section of this. How heavy do you feel like some of these doors have been closed, and how quickly can they open if the right buttons are pushed?
Right. Like super fast, like especially, back in the day. And it's like, you mentioned Diddy's turmoil. Think about the turmoil that he's caused to so many women and people in general, the turmoil that he's caused to people, right?
Right.
Like it's like alarming, and like I knew back, we used to go to Daddy's house because, we worked with these producers named, Sean C. and LV, and they produced most of Jay-Z's American Gangster. Like Sean Puffy Combs, he was an executive producer on American Gangster. And a lot of the producers were these guys, Sean C. and LV. And so I used to work with them and Fat Man Scoop and this DJ named Rock Rada. They all worked together. So, when Diddy was doing American Gangster, he recorded that at Daddy's house, right? So we saw, we were around Daddy's house, and we saw what kind of person, Puff Daddy was, right?
Well, that should put a lot of light to what you had just asked earlier. What had happened, blog? You had asked earlier, Miss, about what do you think about the DJs? And a lot like majority of celebrities, if they're not sacrificed, pretty much they either know something or were about to say something about someone with information that they should not be letting out in the world. A la Fat Man Scoop. What's crazy is that you could be up on the up and up working with the Weinstein company if you were working with the other Weinstein brother. He hated him. Working completely separate. Working completely separate, but still having the same exact agendas and things. That's another thing. Working separate, but still having the same exact agendas, still being on the same plane, doing the same exact fuck shit with these underage women.
And it continued on, like just like recently, like, up until the pandemic, like I was working with the notorious B.I.G. estate, and I'm gonna send you the contract, that I did with them, right? So with the notorious big estate, we were doing a song, we were doing a project for Biggie, and the notorious big estate is Valletta Wallace, Faith Evans, CJ and his sister. Those are the people. So I was working, with them, right? And I experienced once again some fucked up shit. And that's in 2020. Like right after we went viral with the project that we were doing with Biggie, it seems like Puffy got involved. And because, that was his flagship artist was Biggie. Puffy got involved because of publishing and rights. And it just, the whole project went sideways and it took on a whole like other, you know, uh dimension, So like during the pandemic, he would it was wild. Like, we would be on FaceTime, kind of like what we're doing now, because everything was shut down. And he was telling us about how we should make the house music, because it was a house music project that we did that Notorious Big Estate partnered up with us, right? And then he was telling us like how we should do it. And he was like, you need to do ketamine, man, because ketamine is what everybody's doing for dance music. So we were on FaceTime and this guy's sniffing, right? Like, and I was like, are you serious right now? I was like, wow, like
On FaceTime, and Diddy is just sniffing away, talking about you gotta do the ketamine, you gotta do the ketamine, you gotta do the ketamine. So if you're listening right now, ketamine was also explained. We also listened to Jaguar Wright pretty much break down the compounds and components of the Tusi. Ketamine is one of the main components of the 2C drug that pretty much makes you numb. Remember? Ketamine was one of the main drugs that pretty much just makes you numb to everything going on around you. So he was actually hooked and addicted to this ketamine pretty early on. It wasn't like it was just something that came up a couple of years ago. As you heard here, this was about 2020 also when he was talking about the ketamine, and he's well into the addiction. So he could have been on that ketamine since about 2012 or 2013 even.
And he said it was ketamine. It could have been cocaine. It could have been sugar. It could have been, I have no idea what it is, right? I wasn't there, but he was like, it's all about the ketamine. Ketamine is house music. Ketamine is this. And he was like, the music that you do with Biggie, it's gotta be attracted to ketamine. You guys should do ketamine so you can experience ketamine. So it's authentic. Da, 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 da. He was giving like this fucking weird, like, pep talk, to do ketamine. The whole time I'm like, wow, this is Puffy, just like not even, just loose, just like above, like above the law. Like, are you kidding me? Like who does this? My girlfriend, who my partner, was on there. Other people were on there. And it was just like, is this serious? Because he just has no, he gives no fucks. He's like, above the law, I do whatever. So, anyways, I know I totally didn't answer your question, and I went off.
No, that was actually perfect as far as going
on a tangent.
The Puffy situation. But let me just circle back to Rihanna and Jay-Z. Now, of course, there was a documentary that came out this summer, of course, with Trapper Ross putting that out, and
correct.
It aired on Academics, where, of course, they were going into the death of Jay-Z's mistress, and they brought your name up, and of course they came back to your article, of course, of you wanting to run. Your goal was to run the rumor that Jay-Z and Rihanna, it was a love triangle between and them and Beyonce, and I believe you apologized to Beyonce, correct?
That was in 2015.
Okay.
And I apologize on Inside Edition. But listen, that wasn't even my idea, right? That was the Tidal Rock Nation people who were like, we want you to basically, fall on the sword, dead this thing, because the Becoming Beyonce book that those rumors came from, Matthew Knowles, gave a lot of information. He was like a source for the book. The guy who wrote the book, he was like a New York Times bestselling author. I'd done Michael Jackson biographies, Jackie O biographies. So they wanted me to fall on the sword. And in exchange, they were like, we're going to, make your projects Tidal Rising.
And that was the hook, line, and sinker that Jonathan fortunately fell for, because what would happen then is, with him apologizing to Beyonce, it would then start to look like a publicity stunt, which would discredit Jonathan Hayes' name. So now, with his name also being discredited, you also have, what's going to follow that is people don't want to work with him as much anymore. And with people not wanting to work with him as much anymore, he's pretty much going to start getting, bottom of the barrel almost, on the way out type of acts. You're going to catch confirmation of that as well. But for them to pretty much do that, it was Rock Nation and Tidal were pretty much behind the blackballing of Jonathan Hay to move him out the way of the industry now.
And we're going to feature you on Tidal, and we're going to get you, the most amount of streams, yada, yada, yada. And back then, Tidal used to pay more than, Spotify, Apple, or anything else.
Right.
And so he was like, we're going to make, make all these promises that never happened. So I went on TV, Inside Edition, you can still see it. And I apologized to, Beyonce for this rumor that it was just so corny. Because here's the thing: if you're in a relationship, you're that high level, right? There's gonna be rumors of infidelity. People are gonna think so and so is cheating, right? But if you're with your man, like the book said that they broke up for 6 months because of my rumor. That's crazy. It's like they didn't break up because of my rumor. They broke up because of, Jay-Z is he's a fucking, asshole, bro. That's not had nothing to do with me. But in the book, that's what it says. It's they broke up because of me. So of course, like a lot of Beyonce fans were going crazy, on me. So that's why they wanted me to do the public apology. So I did it. So, it's like a sucker. And then they never came through with what they said they were going to come through.
I have to ask, for you to start a rumor and for it to stick not only months, but years and decades later.
A decade.
Yeah, a decade. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 decades. 2 decades later, the rumor's still being talked about. Like, what are your thoughts when you're like, I'm going to start this thing, and then
a 2-decade-old fucking rumor about Jay-Z and Rihanna fucking? Isn't that something? And you know what they say, where there's smoke, there is fire. Or should I say, if enough people saying it, it must be true, ain't it?
See, if there's smoke, there's fire, because it's just sticking around and people won't let it go. What are your thoughts on that?
So, like, we were all together in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, because that's where Veda Nobles was. That's where Kevin Skinner was for Whitney, the Whitney Houston guy that I told you about. Some other people, that were working, for Veda. So we were all like brainstorming like ideas, right? It wasn't like, I just thought of something and then I ran wild with it. It's like you said, it's crazy that it came out 10 years later in the book, and then it was in this documentary. And now here we are, right now talking about it, right? It won't ever leave, like it sticks, so people like BuzzFeed did a story last year calling it one of the biggest scandals in history. And there's like all this shit that keeps, coming up. And it was like so serious because being a PR person, I've done publicity stunts, like, which is just creative publicity, marketing angles and, whatnot. And, like, but this one caused like serious shit because after she blew up, we were in Kissimmee, Florida. Me and my partner at the time, he was like my intern, my partner, type thing. Like we're driving down the road and we were pulled over by unmarked cars in Kissimmee. And they asked us to follow them. So the whole time we're like freaking out. They didn't tell us what it was. And it was like 3 or 4 cars, one behind us, one in front of us. And we pulled behind this like dodgy library in Kissimmee and did this building where, like a makeshift office or whatever. And I was interrogated. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I thought I was going to go, to jail. But I kept thinking like, all right, I can't go to like, what have I done wrong? Like, it's not that serious. Right. It's like a rumor that was like in the National Enquirer and shit like that. It couldn't be that thing. But
so pretty much he got visited by the elites there. The elites pretty much sent, well, especially Jay-Z pretty much sent the boys after him. As Kanye would say, Jay, I know you got killers. Jay, I know you got killers. And pretty much the goons were sent after Mr. Jonathan Hay after he made that remark. Even though he apologized to Beyonce, they still sent the goons to actually question him on, hey, what else do you know? What this was just no rumor. What else do you know behind the scenes right now?
It wasn't about that at all. They were wanting to know the truth behind it. Because they believed that it was true that that he was seeing her.
Yes, gang stalking. Great observation, Miss Mona. Great observation.
At 16, that he had related because they brought up Foxy Brown, they brought up Tierra Marie, and these are the feds, and I'm freaking out. Like I've never experienced that, and
so pretty much not even so pretty much besides that, he got interrogated also by the feds. So okay, so I got it backwards. So later on, Jonathan actually does talk about when they got him kidnapped as well as go through a home invasion. I'm thinking he's talking about that part. So what Jonathan's talking about right now is actually when the feds actually had pulled him over and he thought he was going to jail. The feds actually caught him and pulled him over and started questioning him about Jay-Z and his involvement and what was actually going on with the actual rumor that he started about Rihanna, him fucking Rihanna when she was 16 years old. So now the feds are pretty much investigating him. And as he said, this is back in 2005. Okay, so they've been investigating him back since 2005. Lord knows what they know now about Jay-Z.
Then they started talking about, Lance Rivera. And they had him under investigation, especially like back in the day, 2003, 4, 5. They used to have like hip hop watch police, that watched, and I'm sure they still do, right? But anyways, it was out there in public that there was like, task force to watch hip hop artists, So here's Jay-Z, a guy that, has these underage girls. I put out the rumor. So basically they were wanting me to, basically go on record and say, and I kept telling him, like, I don't know. I was a good guy, man. This is a guy that, he comes, if you look at his past, what he comes from, it's really dodgy, So anyways, they let us go. They left and, that was it. But you got to think if that is 2005 and they were investigating in them, you would think in 2024 that they would have all kinds of stuff, especially with, the Diddy investigation right now.
Right. Did you have any dealings with Dame Dash?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
I wish.
Right. Jonathan, let me ask you, because your career is illustrious, and I don't want to shortchange you at all. Can you name some of the notables, the other acts that you work with in the hip hop industry? And if you want to go outside of hip hop, you can. But if, just for those that may need to know, like who else have you had a hand in regards to their career?
So I worked with Whitney Houston, right? That's because Kevin Skinner, he's the one who brought me on. I like did this rock project, and we hit #1 for 17 weeks, from Louisville, Kentucky, and then we like did everything wrong and like lost everything. But people saw my skills like as a publicist, and so Kevin Skinner brought me on board to work with Whitney Houston. That was like a dream job, and then of course, that goes into working with Rihanna. And then once that happened, we started doing publicity for like Hillary Duff, for Angie Stone. And then Teddy Riley, asked me to work on the Michael Jackson album, the last Michael album. His album, like right after he passed, because I worked with Teddy Riley for, 15, 16 years, went back with them. So,
Real quick, while he's saying that, Miss What's Happened blog. You are very right. You are very right. That is Tierra Marie. That is the Jane Doe in the Diddy case. I do believe that is right.
So I got like a Michael Jackson credit. I got like a Whitney Houston credit. I got like those type of things, which is really cool. I worked with, RZA. I worked with Drake, which was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you say that's interesting?
Well, I mean, just because it was it was weird, so weird. So
okay.
I have a confidentiality agreement, right?
Yeah.
But
interesting.
Years, went back with them. So, so I got like a Michael Jackson credit, I got like a Whitney Houston credit, I got like those type of things, which is really cool. I worked with, RZA. I worked with Drake, which was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you say that's interesting?
Well, just because it was weird, so weird.
So needless to say, there's a lot of things, and he's going to get into one or two of them. But there was quite a lot of things that Jonathan Hay actually experienced while he was working with Drake. And it wasn't necessarily working with Drake as much as he was working with Drake's baby mother, Sophia.
Okay.
I have a confidentiality agreement, right?
Yeah.
But, because I came in and I was involved with his baby mama, Sophie. Right. Yes. You can Google all this stuff, and that was weird, right? Like that was like, crazy shit. But I like Drake's representatives contacted me when Pusha T dropped, the diss, and they were like, they thought that I had given the information, about Sophie and the child and, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I was, because they were so paranoid that
trying to figure out who.
Yeah, Pusha T had all that information, and I was like, I've never even spoke to Pusha T.
So yes, and you're absolutely right there as well. He's still alive because he was pretty much scared to even come forth with this information. Hell, if it wasn't for Jaguar Wright, a lot of us wouldn't be able to. And not just Jaguar Wright, but also Cat Williams, a lot of different people that are out here just spreading the truth. We wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for like a Jaguar Wright just coming out and just getting the millions of views that she got saying the things that she's been saying for the past couple of years that have actually started to come to fruition through the Cassie case. So he was actually pretty much, in hiding. besides his confidentiality agreement, he was pretty much in hiding, not being able to say any of these things in fear for his life.
And they were like, yeah, but your guy is Saha the Prince. And Saha the Prince, is, Kanye, it's Kanye West.
Yes.
He's Kanye West artist, but he's one of Kanye West's main writers for a long time. His name is Sidell Young, Saha the Prince. And Saha the Prince and I go way back. And so they thought that I told Saha the Prince, who was signed and who was working with Pusha T at the moment. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all, because I didn't even tell Saha that. But, Drake's team, blame me, for, giving that information that got back to Pusha T, but it had nothing to do with me. So, but that was like a lot of drama and, a lot of threats and a lot of like, weird shit, but like everything's good. There's no issues at all with anything, Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those were interesting times in which I'm curious, have you worked with Kanye at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Just with.
Notice at the end of how he said that, it was pretty much not necessarily the confidentiality agreement as much as, like I just said, he's pretty much still scared for his life that whatever happened with Drake, he's going to pretty much say the story of what happened actually. But whatever happened is what's pretty much got him, like I said, on the alert from even saying too much. He's like, no, it's no malice with Drake. It's no malice with Drake. Yeah, I bet you want to say it's no malice with Drake.
The good music thing,
Okay.
Just do good music with Saha.
Okay, definitely. I'm sorry. Yeah, we paused you on Drake because that was that hit a nerve right there. Just in the world, Drake is beloved by many, but also there are there are situations or underlinings in Drake's career. Any other notables as far as going into post COVID that you work with? Are you still working with some of these people, or are you kind of taking a step back?
So I worked with like Nappy Roots. There like there's so many, right? Because I like as a publicist, like you be hired, for the albums. Twista, I worked with Big Pun, which was amazing, because I'm a huge Pun fan, right? But in 2017, I was involved in an incident where I was in a home invasion, right? And I was duct taped and, pistol whooped and held for like 2 hours. 3 people went to prison for that, right? And, they pled guilty. But once that happened and I was duct taped for like 2 hours, I was like, praying to God. I was like, this is the type of energy that I'm promoting with the gangster rap and with the stuff that I would do. And now this energy has came back to me and I'm duct taped. And I thought for sure that I was going to die. And I was just praying. I was talking to God. I was like, if I survive this, because my 14-year-old daughter was also right next to me, going through the traumatic incident. I was like, God, if I survive this, I'm not going to do any more hip hop. I'm not going to do any more wicked music. So I started to do jazz music. So I got away from PR because, I survived the ordeal. The people went to prison. And, when I did this jazz project and I did a complete album, with Eric B. and Rakim, and, Rakim was considered, one of the greatest MCs of all time. And that project hit #1, on the Billboard charts in jazz. And it stayed at the top for 11 weeks. So there's another one, to be able to say, I did something with Eric B. and Rakim, in the jazz world, was amazing. But, I'll get pulled back.
Long track record, right? Dude's got a long track record in the industry. He's not nobody that was a slouch. Dude was definitely not lazy. He was definitely working with quite a lot of people.
Back in and end up doing some PR clients here and there. I'll give, like I said, like strategy and advice, and that kind of thing.
All right. So real quick, again, that April 20th date on 2017 is highly documented with the St. Matthews apartment situation.
Correct.
Man, just briefly, can you walk us through what happened? Was that your doing? Was that someone else you were with, or? What was the circumstances for that to, become your situation at the time?
So I was just coming home from my daughter, right? It was really like the 19th and it was going into the 20th. And like I said, she was 14 years old. We went to Taco Bell, we went to the drive through just like a regular, night. People listening be like, that's not regular with your 14-year-old kid. Well, you know what? It is. She graduated honor roll. She killed it. She went to college. So something was done right. But anyways, we were coming home, coming back to my place, and we were hit from behind, pistol whooped, duct taped. It was a very traumatic. It was a very traumatic situation, right?
Yeah.
Like super traumatic. Like it changed everything in my life.
Okay, so that's where I was trying to figure out. So remember earlier when I was talking about I had got it backwards with the feds basically. So this was the second part that I was talking about here. So there was the situation in 2005 where the feds had actually talked to Jonathan Hay, but then there was the time here where he was working with Drake. And after him working with Drake and they thought that he had leaked the information, this is when he got the hit from behind while he was with his daughter and got duct taped and kidnapped and all that.
Definitely, man. And, definitely, prayers out to that situation. Jonathan, I have to ask, there was reports that you and Adele were were had a situation romantically involved in a situation in which both of y'all were hush on. Can you speak on that at all?
Yeah. So listen. So this Jay-Z rumor came back in both those situations in the home invasion, right? So like after the home invasion, where we sit down, I'm going to hit the Adele thing too. We were talking to the police, right? The police used it like in their interrogation, right? Because they come back to the place, it's like a home invasion. And my daughter at the time, she was 14, she was singing and she was doing all this stuff. The police actually thought at first that I was like doing a publicity stunt on something so traumatic. And that's how I was like, come on, man, this is crazy. Then when the Adele thing happened, right? Some people were like, oh, that's another publicity stunt. It's like, it's on the Daily Mail and like the Mirror and stuff like that. Like you can't go to the Daily Mail and the Mirror and you can't say that, hey, I'm dating Adele and they're going to run with it and face the liabilities and stuff. Like when you Google it, you can see the places that it is. Like, so obviously where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
So pretty much the Adele thing was actually true. He was actually fucking Adele. Okay? And they made him look like the little boy that cried wolf after a while. They made him look like he was just spreading rumors and it was a publicity stunt, yada, yada, yada. He pretty much was telling the truth after a while. He wasn't necessarily trying to even do any publicity stunts or PR stunts. He was just pretty much telling the truth at this point.
So, like, I met Adele and we met at Quad Studios, which where Tupac was shot, and which is crazy to be in that studio. She was working there on a different project. We were doing a remix for Follow the Leader with Eric B. and Rakim. That project that I told you about, we were doing a remix. And she came in, she didn't have on any makeup. I didn't recognize her. And I'm not the type of dude that's just gonna sit there and stare at a woman, right? But she was like, there was a studio at Quad, and in the middle was like a waiting room, but you could like listen at the same time, and you were like right next to it. She's sitting in there. I just thought it was somebody at the staff at the studio. She's wearing like a jumper and everything else. So then I met her and I started, talking to her, right? And then I like realized it was her. I was like, holy shit. So we went right next door to the strip club, called Platinum Dolls, which is like 5 feet away from Quad. And, she was so super cool and nobody like even really like, recognized her like that. Cause she wasn't in her like Adele thing, and then, she put on a hat and like, nobody really, you know, and plus that was 2019. It was different, you know. But yeah, that was a crazy thing.
That was my God. So let me get up to date because
So
Jaguar
fuck
Wright.
Rich Paul, since we're saying fuck him, like fuck Rich Paul.
Oh shit, not Rich Paul. Okay,
Dude said, "Fuck Rich Paul while we at it. You stole my bitch. I ain't gonna lie."
okay. I
Yeah,
believe that
because he's with her. He stole my girl, man. You know, like come on, and like said the thing with about Adele.
Seize the moment.
I'm gonna keep it real. You know, she was so famous, and I was like such a fan, right? And I was like, she was like, "Love, you should," in her accent, like, tell me how we should do, like, follow the leader. And then she was like, she can play like every instrument, and she can do everything. And I was like, so in awe. And then I felt so inferior because I was like, holy shit, she can do everything like so well. So, but once we started like drinking and like partying, she got like super, super, super cool. And then we went back to this hotel, the Williamsburg Hotel, where she had like the whole floor. Right. And then, you know, we just kept partying, right? Like partying. And I was just so like nervous and like scared. I'm gonna keep it real. Like it was whack, you know, like on my end, like I was fucking whack, you know, because I was like freaked out, you know.
You shrink
because I was such a fan.
Yeah, you shrink in the room because of
literally, bro. I was shrinking in the room, like I couldn't. It was whack, bro. I couldn't get anything working, bro. You know.
Man. Oh, that's hey, moments.
Yeah.
So let me get your take on Jaguar Wright has been on this blue couch that right now, of course, you're virtually on, and she has, of course, started a crusade. I want to say,
for sure.
What it do, Glenn? What it do, my brother? Go ahead, feel free to start from the beginning, my brother. We got about 6 hours in tonight. We get a good one tonight.
all the things that, of course, not only she experienced, but those who have experienced have spoke to her about, and we are in the world of now getting to the truth of before social media, things that really went on behind these closed doors. And of course, we have Jaguar right in the building. And just give me your take as far as from your knowledge of what Jaguar Wright is saying, some of the things that she is getting out to the world. Just what are your thoughts on that in general, as far as some of the things that she's leaning out?
I'm going to be honest. It's because of Jaguar Wright where I felt the confidence, you know, to come out. Like once it came out on academics and Trapler Ross, you know, because I haven't been able to speak out of these things because I've just honestly been scared, right? And so I had seen, you know, a lot of things with her, and people would like, you know, always forward stuff over, you know, with her. And I was so like mesmerized by like her strength. I was like, wow, you know, like she's really like out here, you know, spitting facts. It made me feel comfortable to like contact like all hip hop and interview with them, you know, about the story to come out and call Jay-Z a dirtbag and, you know, talk about things like, this is a guy that's been partners with Harvey Weinstein, you know, Diddy and, R. Kelly, Diddy, and Weinstein. This is a guy, you know, that has got a history, but I would never speak out because I always wanted to. But once I saw her stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna. It made me feel comfortable to speak out. So that's why it's really surreal, you know, to like be here, like speaking to you guys, you know, because this is kind of where, even though I'm not there on the blue couch.
Yep, we're pretty much at part 3 with things. We are pretty much at part 3.
But got me like the strength to come out and say these things, you know, from you guys.
Okay, for a moment, if you don't mind, we have Jaguar right here. We're going to bring her up on camera, so you're going to see her. And you should be able to hear her, but we want to moderate just a quick conversation before we speak to her directly. So, We're gonna bring her up. We're gonna make sure we can hear her, and then go from there. Um,
Let's do it like this. Can you do you have her on screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But the sound isn't as good.
Yeah, let's take the table by.
Baby, you don't can you fix me up?
Okay, there we go.
Truth is, this isn't an easy conversation, is it?
No.
And after hearing what you just said, it's making me think about the conversation we had initially over a week ago now.
Yeah.
And I took something away at the end of that call. You had no fucking idea that everything that you've been thinking wasn't real actually is.
Right.
And that's how it works.
Right, for sure.
You into believing it's only happening to you. They convince
Correct.
you into believing that all of these terrible things that happen in your life are only happening to you. And it's funny listening to you talk about your being held unlawfully and the duct tape and all of that. I've been there on several occasions in my life. And I've been there for other people.
Yeah.
I have one question to ask that most people probably wouldn't. What project were you working on right before that vicious, hostile reclamation of your time and freedom?
Drake.
You were working on a Drake project.
I was with, that's when the home invasion happened. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I was working with Sophie, Drake's baby mama.
So you heard it right there. He was pretty much working with Drake's baby mom, Sophie, and as he said, they thought that he had leaked information about Drake's child to Pusha T. So that's when the home invasion happened and the kidnapping and all that shit happened. And Jaguar Wright was the only one that had the guts to actually just flat out ask him the real question. Hey, what was you actually even working on before you even got that home invasion and you got duct tape and kidnapped and all that other shit? You were working on the Drake project. Oh, excuse me. You were working with Drake. So, needless to say, again, more confirmation of Drake doing some fuck shit behind the scenes, similar to Diddy and Jay-Z.
Who reached out to me. And then she had me communicate with Drake. And then once I started communicating with Drake,
they made you the go-between for their personal problems. What is it that she told you that Drake didn't want nobody to know? You know, b.l.a.c Stacion kind of had the same problems too with Drake. Matter of fact, anybody that finds out anything about Drake that he doesn't want anybody to know, bad things tend to happen to them shortly after. Yeah, Kevin Samuels too.
And I'm starting to wonder that too, because when I heard that, I'm like, well, what the hell happened with Kevin Samuels? And all I could find was Drake dropped a project on the date of Kevin Samuels' death. So I was like, wait a minute. How could you drop a project on the day of Kevin Samuels' death? Like, what actually happened that Kevin Samuels said about Drake that Kevin Samuels ended up dead? So that actually put context to how Kevin Samuels just ended up being with a nurse all of a sudden, or a female. And we heard that live conversation. That whole thing just sounded so off and eerie and creepy. The phone call from the nurse that he was supposedly fucking that evening. Of all things, you were fucking a nurse and somehow you had a heart attack?
Right. Listen, when I was duct taped.
Realize how blessed and covered you are.
For sure. When I was, yes, ma'am. I don't mean to cut you off. When I was duct taped, I was thinking about that. And I also started working with b.l.a.c and his label.
Another federal informant.
And I was like, I kept thinking about that. I just wanted to be strong, you know, because I thought for sure I was going to die, that my daughter wouldn't see me, you know, beg or, you know, fight for my life or anything. So, but I was thinking about
The fact
that.
that
Like,
it happened in front of your child is particularly nasty.
correct.
Because they wanted you to feel helpless in front of your child, and they wanted your child to see you as helpless. And they wanted to make sure that whatever it was you were doing, you were going to make a course correction. See?
Correct.
That's how it works. And God kept you.
For sure.
He kept you. And he kept your daughter. Because there's some of us whose children don't make it. There's some of us whose children are taken.
Right.
To make sure we make the course correction that they want. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So
I do.
I want to say to you, I was wrong to call you a liar.
Right.
Because I can't hold you accountable for being afraid to tell a truth that could claim your life.
And see, what Jaguar is doing right now is kind of speaking from experience to him right now and giving him that safe haven, because Jaguar's kid was actually taken. You know, Jaguar's mom was taken. You know, so much of Jaguar's family was taken behind her doing all of this. So she's speaking from a place of experience to Jonathan right now.
Correct. I appreciate that. Especially what I've been through, you know?
I hope you know if you ever need to talk, I'm around. Industry PTSD is the hardest because nobody wants to believe that it happened, because it's supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. It's supposed to be the greatest time in the world. You're working with the most important people in the world. How dare you complain for something that everyone wants because you're too afraid to tell them, hey, this shit is fucked up, or you're afraid that you might end up being a witness in a case you don't want to be involved in.
Correct.
And all for going to work, you know?
Right.
So I want to end it like this. And Jonathan, we'll let you go, but I want to get both you and Jag's take on the music industry in 2030. What do you feel it looks like with social media, with AI, just with the openness as far as even with you guys being able to speak on I don't want to call them the horrors, but the situations that happened in the 90s, in the early 2000s that led into
that are still happening now. See, what makes me so dangerous is the fact that I've been in this business since I was 13 years old. That's over 3 decades where I am a first witnessed account of abuses, systematic abuses. What made me speak out after 20 some odd years is that I were watching the same things that happened when I was a kid happen over again to newer, younger artists. That's why they try to make people from my generation irrelevant. They want to box you out of the game. They don't want us computer literate. They don't want us relevant because we get to warn the future. And Jonathan, that's why I said to you, I don't even think you realize how much you were covered, because most of the jobs you did were probably covering crimes that you didn't know you were covering. Get the story about the baby mama, spin this story out, make sure that they're focusing on this so they're not focusing on the home invasion that happened for the guy who was at the party too long and stayed long enough to see this assault. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's the spin game, kid.
Right.
And if they're spinning it, it's a distraction. And it's because they don't want someone looking in another direction.
Right.
I'm wearing Fenty. I'm wearing Fenty tonight for your girl.
Looks great.
You want to know what's crazy? Tasha K sat online last week and did the worst makeup tutorial I've ever seen in my life. Pandering to people about how she was giving up MAC to wear Fenty. What do you think about that?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
Thursday.
I don't really know honestly anything.
She did it on her backup channel.
Yeah.
She was busy pandering.
Yeah.
For people.
They wanted me to come on their show, but I didn't.
Oh. What made you change your mind?
Yeah.
I got some inside information.
Did you see what happened with Brother b.l.a.c? That was such a tragedy. You know b.l.a.c, Brother b.l.a.c. Well, you know, they did that big expose where they kept out all the real fucked up shit and only told a bunch of salacious stuff about gay men being gay men. And they didn't talk about the kids at all. You know, just like I know, Jonathan, children are the biggest victims in this game.
Definitely.
Child stars are the biggest victims in this game because usually everybody's working against them.
Yeah.
Kind of like Aaliyah. Wait till people find out who was working against her that was supposed to love her and protect her.
Yeah.
You said something very important, though, tonight, and I heard you reference it on more than one occasion.
She's talking about her uncle. The uncle got paid millions, and I mean millions, for Aaliyah's death.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Correct.
If Jay-Z is friends with R. Kelly and does business with R. Kelly and parties with R. Kelly, if Jay-Z is friends with Diddy and does business with Diddy and parties with Diddy, if Jay-Z shot 3 videos on Epstein Island with supermodels that were under the age of 18 that were provided by Naomi Campbell.
And signed the Harvey Weinstein.
Like I said, you didn't realize you were saying, but it's a very, very, very old adage. Birds of a feather flock together.
Correct. You know, and honestly, it's been you that's like, because everybody would wonder, like, you know, what was going on, and you've connected some of the dots when you talked about, you know, Rihanna.
Yeah, only one, Zane. $80 million. Uncle got $80 million for the insurance. For an insurance policy that he had on Aaliyah. So pretty much Aaliyah was signed to his label, and that's how he was able to get the $80 million in court. And when a good friend of his actually let out that information in the interview, he wasn't supposed to say that shit, but he ended up saying it out loud. Like, yeah, her uncle got $80 million after Aaliyah died. He's like, oh shit, I wasn't supposed to say that. Oh, well, get out the bag now.
On his father, right? Like, he allowed her to come over there, because we would always think, like, how could a minor be doing these things? And obviously we would never say anything, but you've connected so many unanswered questions and stuff that we would talk about, you know, that, you know, we were too scared to like bring up. It's like, wow, you know, because I didn't think of Rihanna as a human. I thought her as a client. I didn't think of her as a minor.
There you go. There you go. He just said it right there. back in those days, as I said before, the way they were even dressing her up, even to make her look like she was older than how she was. They didn't necessarily even give a fuck of how old she was. They didn't care that she was 16, 17 years old. They just cared about making her look like the best product to sell out there and market and brand her as fucking Rihanna. They didn't care that she was a minor and underage in the clubs and sucking who's dick and whatnot. Well, fucking Jay-Z, and she was 16 years old. They didn't care about any of that. As he just said, he's coming to grips with even realizing that, having to make that long, hard look in the mirror like, yo, oh shit. I was part of, the grooming of Rihanna and didn't even realize it.
I thought of her as a client and as an artist.
That I know in LA that they had taking her out and taking her to all the parties and clubs. They didn't find out that she was underage until they went to the Rainbow Room one night and she couldn't provide ID. They were told she was 21 when in all actuality, she had just turned 17. You remember when she was in LA right after Upon the Replay broke? That was around the time where they were moving you out and putting her new handlers in.
Right. That's facts. That was a really
She needed you. She needed her original team. And they removed y'all to make sure she had nobody to outcry to.
Right. And then we were.
And you said that earlier. Yeah, I said that earlier too. It sounds just like what happened with Meg Thee Stallion. It sounds just like what happened with Meg Thee Stallion, Miss What Happened Blow Up. Meg's team was pretty much removed from her. Her original team was moved and bought out. Meg was ushered into Rock Nation. It sounds exactly like what happened to Meg Thee Stallion, to where she pretty much is isolated by herself. They take you from your original team and isolate you by yourself and put all types of other handlers around you. Yeah, it's fucked up how this industry does, man.
Almost blacklisted.
Oh no, absolutely blacklisted. They didn't tell you were blacklisted. It's just the jobs that you used to get easy. All of a sudden, there were other people. There was a new direction. There were restaurants you used to eat at that were always sold out. Your table wasn't available. It is the shunning.
Yeah, exactly.
Social shunning. And then when people that you know who you are, start talking about you behind your back in ways that they never did. And all of a sudden, their career begins to elevate.
Yes, Icon One, you did call it. You absolutely did.
Yeah.
It's social engineering. And the sad thing about it is, every last rapper that you said fucked you over also happens to be a government informant.
Yeah.
Why would you think that you had a chance against these people when everything that they do, the government seems to ignore? It seems like they were untouchable because you didn't know that they had a deal.
Right.
They had permission to act like assholes and never have to be accountable for it, or so the government said, so they get to fuck over people like you and people like me and people like Aaliyah and people like Rihanna, people like Lauryn Hill, and people like Rakim, and people like Nas. You know what I'm speaking.
Yeah. But even back in 2005, when we had spoke to the FBI, I didn't think of her like.
See if you were willing to testify against him, so they would know whether or not they were going to have to move you around.
But I didn't even.
That's why you were questioned by the feds.
Right.
That's why your transcripts are on the dark net.
Yeah.
They're trying to see where they need to go to clean things up.
Yeah. But you know, Jaguar, when I was
more than you think you do. Become forgetful unless you want to be a material witness.
Yeah.
Or you could just come back here in real life on this couch and me and you can talk about a couple of things that I'm sure you have forgotten.
Right.
Again, giving him that safe haven.
No.
Giving him that safe haven to get out and speak.
Man, Jonathan,
he needs
we
it.
Appreciate you for even giving us a tad bit of your time, your knowledge, and your experiences in this industry. And we would be honored to have you come through and actually sit down with us and go through even more history. Again, you had an illustrious career. There are highs, there are lows.
Definitely an informant.
At the end of the day, is your truth.
Jay's definitely an informant
that you took in and what's going forward. So, and again, thank you, Jaguar Wright, for even being able to bring this to fruition.
I got to send shout outs out. Number one, we got 2 YouTubers that follow all of us here that are always on our content. The Jamil, aka Jamal guy, and the Noah Jacob TV got really, really, really interesting. But it was messy. Sweet Spot, our transgender sister, who pulled this man's collar. And it was because of that Odell reached out. And Odell's right here, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did, because we needed to have this talk.
For sure.
To hear you say that my position and my stance made it possible for you to feel safer to come out and say all the things that you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel better about the sacrifices that I've made, because everything that I'm doing, I did so you would feel safe enough to come out.
Yeah. And listen, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this before we go. Yeah. Like you know, it's hard to see the picture when you're stuck inside the frame. And so everybody I know knows your name and knows your story. So your word is getting out there more than you realize. So like, amazing props for what you're doing, you know, and, you know, breaking through and inspiring people, because like I said, you inspired me, because I've wanted to come out, because I felt like an asshole. Like even like, this is the last thing, but when the police were talking to me, like I said, I didn't think of her as a minor. And I got so convicted. I was convicted, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, what have I done? What have I been a part of?
Imagine somebody putting that beautiful 14-year-old girl of yours on a plane and saying, hey, do whatever you want with her. It sounds unreal, doesn't it?
It's crazy. So when the
artist a commodity, they stop being a person the second they sign that contract.
Yeah.
They're the ones that put food on the table. They're the one. We need to break this Rihanna record so we can eat, so we can go on vacation. You stop seeing. And that's the way the game is set up.
Right.
We're gonna keep on talking. I hope
I'd love to.
You were talking to me still.
For sure, I would love to. I'm here for you. Whatever, you know. We definitely need to talk in person.
Yeah.
You know, we need to, whatever I can help do, you know, get justice. Whatever I can do to support.
Rihanna deserves justice.
Correct.
And as someone who was there at the beginning of her career, who took such great care to get her there, she shouldn't have been stripped from her team.
Right.
From her protection, no different than a rose. They went into the garden and they stripped the thorns and they pulled it out, and then they've been ripping petals off piece by piece, year for year.
Correct.
Let's change that.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
For her.
Yeah.
And for every other child girl like her.
And you're doing.
Man.
Listen, you're doing the same thing that Dream Hampton did when she laid out the R. Kelly case for the prosecutors to finally, after 20 years, go and charge him.
That. Dream is one of Jay-Z's girls too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the way that she
to do that right.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to take him out?
Her to do Surviving R. Kelly and Bring In Me Too. Just like he loaned his lawyer, Spiro, to Tupac's family so that they can get to the bottom of his unalivement, as if he doesn't already know.
That's how slick Jay was back then. Well, should I say still is. That's not even back then. That's how slick Jay is. And remember, he did the interview back in 1997 where he said, "Oh, I lent out my lawyer to the Tupac estate just to help things out." He actually talked about that in the interview. Jay has been snaking people behind their backs for so damn long. It's unreal. It's unreal. Allegedly, I gotta say allegedly, just so you know. For that purpose, whatever. But
call me. We should.
I will for sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, Jonathan, for those.
But yeah, man, I just want everybody to understand that these people, when they came, into the industry earlier on, there was no way for them to necessarily speak out and talk about the shit that was going on then. The dark side of the industry, yes, it's a very deep rabbit hole. Very, very deep rabbit hole. And it's one of those things where you just start thinking about it like, yo, if only these people, had somewhere to go and had somewhere to talk, we wouldn't, they wouldn't even have a chance. We wouldn't have a chance to go through half of the shit with that we have going on in the industry. What Diddy and Jay-Z have done, have built a couple of different closets of skeletons that we are just now starting to uncover. And it's like one door has this bunch of skeletons, the next door has another handful of skeletons coming out, to the point where we're just like, yo, when are these people even going to be, sought after by the feds? The feds are already getting ready to indict Diddy, but now the question is, how much time is left for Jay-Z before they start to realize that, hey, he trafficked Rihanna over here, amongst other things, the unalivement of Kathy White. It's a lot of things that that are on Jay-Z's track list. Big L. There's so many things that are there with him. So many different things there with him. Yeah, being behind the Surviving R. Kelly doc, and having, as you heard, Jaguar Wright was going to be one of the people on there. The amount of things that he's been doing as crookedness, to move people out of the way so that they can't say anything. So think about this, right? He removed R. Kelly so that R. Kelly pretty much couldn't say anything about him while he was out. That's pretty much why he removed R. Kelly. He pretty much saw or foresaw what was going to be happening much later on, as far as, making it easy to get that, to get his safe way and gold yellow brick road onto being a CEO that he wanted to be. He wanted to be the next Leo Cohen. He wanted to be the next Leo Cohen. There's nothing else to say about that. But it's a fucked up world, and it's a fucked up Hollywood that we live in, man. Let me say that first and foremost. It is a fucked up Hollywood that we live in nowadays.